My guest is a former NFL general manager, and he has 3 Super Bowl titles to his credit as an NFL exec. And with the big game on the horizon right here, Michael Lombardi, good morning and welcome back to WDHA.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Thank you. It's good to be back.
I'm
Great
going to
game
do my
coming up.
late night TV show host thing and I hold the
There
book
you
up.
go. Thank you.
football,
Thank you.
football done right, setting the record straight on the coaches, players, and history of the NFL, which is Michael's most recent book. So we've got Kansas City with 4 appearances in 5 years, and you've got San Francisco back now for the second time in 4 years. How difficult is it to make these return? Never mind winning, just getting back there. How difficult is it for an organization to do, Michael?
Well, it takes competitive stamina, right? It takes the ability to run a reach down and have to do it all over again, go back down to the base of the mountain to climb it back up again. It's really hard. And the season is so long. The season has extended itself so far that it can wear you down and it really takes a toll on you. And the ability to get back up off the mat and know you've got to go back through every single step again. It's like we got to do this all over again. And I think it's really a challenging time. So I admire teams that do it. I don't think the fans understand how long the season goes because of it, right? The season is extremely long for these teams that play an extended period, and that wears on your body.
I know for a while the Buffalo Bills were kind of a punching bag for fans. They can't win the big one. They got to 4 consecutive Super Bowls, and I don't think, Michael, they get enough credit for doing that.
Yeah, well, Marv Levy got in the Hall of Fame, so certainly got enough credit. Andre Reed got in the Hall of Fame. He gets credit. James Lofton's in the Hall of Fame. He got credit. Jim Kelly. But I think all of them would exchange all that for one of those Super Bowls to turn their way. And they had a chance against the Giants in 91, and they just couldn't quite get that done. So, look, it's hard. It's hard. The Minnesota Vikings went through, they didn't do 4 straight, but they went to 4 games and couldn't win one.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's a quarterback-driven league. In my mind, the player who's going to make the biggest difference is Christian McCaffrey this Sunday.
Yeah.
I think if the 49ers can get him going, Michael, I think they win this game. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think they have to get him going in the passing game too. I think, to me, he's so dynamic as a slot receiver. He's so dynamic as somebody that can break tackles, turn a 5-yard pass into a 25-yard gain. So I agree with you. I think that's really going to be important. But yeah, he's the difference. They can't do what Baltimore did, which is try to run the ball 16 times.
And I think Mahomes is a better quarterback than Purdy, but Purdy impressed me a lot this regular season. Young kid, and he just doesn't seem to get frazzled very easily.
Well, he started 42 games in college, right? That matters. I know it's Iowa State, but that matters. You've gone into Oklahoma, you go into Nebraska, you go into big venues, Iowa, they play them, the Big 12. And so you're used to it. And so the more experience you have in anything in life, the better you get at it. And he's good. We're not giving him enough credit. Mahomes has done a great job of adjusting his game. During the regular season, he averaged 7 yards per attempt. During the postseason, he averages 7 yards per attempt. But what he's done a great job in the postseason is he hasn't turned the ball over. He had 14 interceptions in the regular season. He hasn't turned the ball over yet.
There are definitely some high-profile players in this game today, and I was going through your book again, and you have the top 100 players according to you over the course of the NFL, and obviously Mahomes, great quarterback, maybe the best in the league right now. Travis Kelce, a world-class tight end. We just talked about McCaffrey. I'm thinking, if you do a second edition, I don't know if any of those 3 crack the top 100.
Yeah, I mean, I think Gronk certainly would. He's not in this game, obviously, but I think Mahomes would definitely be in my top 25. There's no question if I wrote this book again. Andy Reid would be in my top 10 coaches if I wrote this book again. Kelce, look, Kelce's a really good tight end, but this week we saw Antonio Gates, who's the all-time leader in touchdown catches for a tight end, didn't get in the Hall of Fame. 11,000 yards. Gronk only has 9,600 yards. Gronk's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. And Antonio Gates can't get in. The whole process with getting into the Hall of Fame is why I wrote the book. I think it's broken.
Michael Lombardi, our guest this morning here at 105.5 WDHA. We've had a couple of anniversaries not related to to football, but one I think that you might have an interest in. I know you've said you've come from the Church of Springsteen. And of course,
Yes.
this week, a lot of people celebrating the 60th anniversary of the Beatles' arrival in New York City and the first appearance on the Ed Sullivan Show, the first of 3 consecutive, but also, and more attuned into New Jersey, this past week was the 50th anniversary of the Stone Pony. And I was wondering if you have any memories of
Oh
shows at
yeah.
that club.
I do. And I love it. I was, as a teenager, I went up there to try to see if I could just go there. And when I was growing up, the drinking age was 18. So you could get into the club if you were 17. You had a fake ID then. You didn't have to look like you shaved 5 times a day. So I can remember going up there and getting in there just because you always heard he might just show up and play. And this has been an ongoing dream of mine, is to shake his hand. And I've yet to do it. I'm going to go to Roberts and Freehold to have lunch one day and just sit there, and maybe he'll show up because I know he goes there. Like, I'm stalking the poor guy. My wife just gave me this incredible gift for Christmas, where there's a painting in a restaurant we go to of him playing a concert, and it didn't fit in my office, so we arranged another painting of him with the Born to Run guitar on stage. When I saw him in Florence, it reminded me of when I saw him in Florence. I chased him there too, and I'm trying to get that. I have to figure out a way to get it signed. It's been an ongoing passion of mine. I mean, look, I can honestly say, as a kid who grew up in New Jersey, I know this sounds like cliche-ish, but if I didn't hear the words Cross Highway 9, if I didn't hear the words chase your dream, get out of town, I might never have done it. And so for me, I'm thankful for 2 people in my life. I often give speeches out to thank people about how they altered your life, and Springsteen's one of the people who altered my life.
You mentioned giving speeches, and there's definitely one thing I wanted to bring to our listeners' attention here this morning, Michael, and that is you're doing this Building a Winning Team on February 22nd. It's a free event. Tell our listeners about that.
Well, so George Raveling and I, for the listeners, George Raveling used to be the head basketball coach at Iowa, USC, and Washington State. He was on the stage when Dr. King gave the I Have a Dream speech. And when Dr. King walked off that stage, Coach Raveling asked him for a copy of that speech, and he gave it to him. And Rav has owned it since that time. He gave it to Villanova, his alma mater, in their library. So he and I decided to start a website called The Daily Coach, which is a newsletter every day about positivity, about leadership. And we're going to have a seminar on what it takes to hire people, because the grading system that we put together, Belichick and I, that I wrote about in Gridiron Genius, can apply to anybody's business on how to hire. Selecting talent, whether you're selecting it for a computer office, whether you're selecting it for Robert's Diner and Freehold, or whether you're doing it for the New York Football Giants, all comes down to what you're looking for. So we're going to hold a seminar, and hopefully people will join us. It's free.
I signed up actually for that newsletter the last time we spoke, The Daily Coach, and it is wonderful. There's some great stuff in there.
Yeah, we try to tell a story every day. Again, you learn from Bruce, right? And you learn that the power of Springsteen's ability to connect with all of us is in his storytelling. His ability to take us to a place that we visualize in our mind. And that's what we try to do. We try to take a story and wrap it around a leadership lesson in the Daily Coach, because you can connect with people that way. Storytelling's a powerful tool if you get them to connect, and then people will follow you.
As we finish up this morning here on WDHA, Michael Lombardi, the author of the brand new book, a recent book, Football Done Right, setting the record straight on the coaches, players, and history of the NFL. Who do you see winning today's game?
I'm rooting for the Niners. I think this game is a tribute to Coach Walsh. He started the West Coast offense. Both teams run the West Coast offense. The organizations, how they operate, is how Walsh operated his team. And this game, we should honor him. He should be on the coin flip. It should be a picture of him on the coin flip. And I think ultimately I'm going to root for Coach Walsh as he watches down below and sees this game. So I'm hoping the Niners win 27-23. But I love the Chiefs too. This will be a fun game to watch.
Well, Michael, thank you for your time. Enjoy the game today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it, Jim.